Okay, I'd like to invite District 4 representatives up to the podium. Okay. This morning, it is with great pride that we welcome the Glenbard West School Boys Volleyball Team. Boys, can you join us and coach? Who won their second consecutive state title in June. We are so pleased to recognize this team for their hard work and dedication. You are a marvelous representation for DuPage County. Additionally, their coach, Christine Junta Mayer, was named the 2023 Boys Volleyball Coach of the Year by the Illinois Volleyball Coaches Association. So we have much to celebrate in our proclamation today. I'll read it first and then I ask our guests to say a few words. Whereas the players, coaching staff, and alumni of Glenbard West High School boys volleyball team have proven they possess a solid foundation of teamwork, commitment, and talent, building toward a championship season. And whereas the Hilltoppers won the IHSA Boys Volleyball State Championship on June 3rd, defeating Lyons Township High School in Hoffman Estates by a score of 25-18 and 25-20. And whereas through their exciting playoff run, the Hilltoppers managed to stack up an impressive winning record with only 2 seniors on the team, Parker Moreland and Liam O'Neill. And whereas this is the 4th championship for Glenbard West, led by Coach Christine Junta Mayer, who is the founding coach of the Toppers volleyball, reached her 500th career win this year and was named 2023 Coach of the Year by the Illinois Volleyball Coaches Association. And whereas we commend the student athletes, coaches, athletic administrators, and entire high school community for their passion, spirit, camaraderie, and character through this incredible Hilltoppers boys volleyball season, and for the team's positive representation of DuPage County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deborah A. Conroy, Chair of the DuPage County Board, and members of the County Board do hereby recognize and commend Glenbard West High School Boys Volleyball Team, Coach Christine Junta Mayer, and the coaching staff for their IHSA State Championship and for setting an outstanding example of teamwork both on and off the court. Do I have a motion? So moved. Okay, second, all in favor? Okay, motion carries, enacted this 8th day of August, 2023 in Wheaton, Illinois.
Thank you so much, Chair Conroy. So it's not just that they won the state championship. They won it 2 back-to-back, and they won coming out of COVID. I think we really need to acknowledge that is so hard to come out of COVID this strong. So I know Coach Christine Junta Mayer for a very long time from my full-time job as mom of Aiden, Sophie, August, and Lucy. So she is the coach and athletic director at St. Petronell, and she coaches at Glenbard West. And what she has done with this team is remarkable. Not only is she, of course, we're honoring you here in DuPage County. You won the state championship. You're getting national recognition too. So the fact that we have this very winning women's coach in a boys sport is just a huge deal. So yes, you heard 2023 Illinois Volleyball Association State Coach of the Year. Also, Volleyball Magazine, National Volleyball Coach of the Year. And the big prize that she just found out, the 2023 Max Preps National Boys High School Volleyball Coach of the Year. Congratulations. And if you know Coach Junta Mayer, you know she runs a tight ship, boys, right? And if you know what it takes to be a state champion, you know it's not one season. This is a year-round dedication. So we want to honor you for your absolute commitment to this sport. And the reason I really also wanted to make sure they got a good shout out today, these championships happen in the summer. So it's not the same as a basketball championship or football playoffs. Kids are, summer is happening, they're working. We want to make sure that they get the credit and recognition that they deserve. And I can't wait till next year when we welcome them back for their three-peat. Coach Kuntermeyer? Oh. And I think this makes me an honorary member of the team. Let's say it. Yeah.
Coach Gentemeyer and I go back so far that I'm not going to say how long it is. My kids attended St. Petronell School, and Christine, through many, many years, has affected in such a positive way the lives of so many kids. But most importantly, she's really taken the initiative in when she started the boys volleyball program. The District 87 had come out of years of financial duress, et cetera. So starting a team is a really difficult thing. So she brought boys volleyball to our high school, and she's just done such a marvelous job. And I want to thank her for all the children that she's helped, including my own. Thank you.
Thank you. We've never done this before. So I want to thank Lynn personally. This is such an honor for us. And I think she said it exactly. What happens to us is it is summer. It's a hard draw. We try to get the kids are on vacation. And I have 3 athletes here and they all have different stories. So we all have a different reason why we're together. One has been dedicated since he was really little. One is actually an example of COVID when it was canceled all through 8th grade. And it was like, should I do it? Should I not? And the other one never played until he was a freshman. So they all had different journeys, and yet we find a way to come together. We definitely have a family. We represent Glenbard West. I am an alumni at Glenbard West. I am a proud alumni of 1992, and there is nothing better for me. The awards that I receive, I cannot do it with my athletes. It's not for me. They did it for me. I didn't do anything. I just made them show up. And a little tough love. But I want to thank DuPage County. I want to thank the state of Illinois. I'm honored and I am blessed. My life is my life is so rich and full of so many things, and it's because of the student athletes. And my dad's here. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, just congratulations. I am on the other side of this. So I am a parent of Hinsdale Central. Yeah. And I was sad to say rooting against you at a few sectionals, but I'm actually dear friends with Christine's brother, and he sings your praises. He's also a coach and has coached my boys, and what he says about what you've brought to this team. And he's told me the stories that you've encouraged kids who never played volleyball to play volleyball, and that you've been so successful. And I love these stories. I love high school sports and the fact that you've had this success. And I know you pour your heart and soul into this, and boys, congratulations to you. But I just had to say, this is amazing. So congrats. And the award this national recognition you're getting is just second to none. So congratulations.
I wanted to say that Glenbard West, yes, last year was our centennial. So we won the state title on our 100th year anniversary. So it was really, really special. And our principal retired. So it was like everything, it was perfect. So thank you so much.
Okay, now on to the NACO award presentation. I'd like to invite Greg Bedeloff and Liz Chaplin to the podium. Oh, and Dawn Dessert. Okay, sticking with the theme of winning, I'm pleased to announce that 3 DuPage County projects won achievement awards from the National Association of Counties this year. We know DuPage County is a leader and an innovator, and it's rewarding to receive this kind of recognition. First, we'd like to recognize the Reinvest DuPage Small Business Grant Program, which provided nearly $36.7 million to more than 2,000 small businesses to assist in the COVID-19 recovery efforts. We're so grateful to Greg Bedeloff and his team at Choose DuPage for their efforts in helping so many businesses and residents through this difficult time. Congratulations to this board for prioritizing our local businesses, to our finance department, Greg and his team for helping to make it work. Let's grab a quick photo. Then Member Chaplin and Greg, please share a few thoughts. And Dawn. Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that it wasn't an original thought. Back in the early days of receiving the CARES Act dollars, I had heard that Aurora, my city where I live, was doing a small business relief fund. It wasn't as big as ours, but anyway, after hearing about Aurora Small Business Relief Fund, I was on a conference call with our federal lobbyist, Bill Viney, and I asked him, I said, is this something we could do here in DuPage County with our CARES Act money? And he said, let me look into it. And he did. And he called back and said, yes, this is something that we could do with our CARES Act dollars. So I brought this idea to the board and I asked for, I think, $25 million. And I think we exceeded that. And now Liz Chaplin will tell you how many businesses we actually helped with those funds. Thank you.
Yeah, so what a great recognition and a great testament to Choose DuPage and all of the great work they do. We helped over 2,000 small businesses with this grant program. And I believe we gave out well over 20 million, right? Was it maybe 35? I know we gave out millions in this relief. So it really is a testament to the great work of Choose DuPage and the great work of our county staff that help with everything, putting the program together and getting those guidelines in. So just something that all of us, not just us up here, but all of you should be very proud of. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this recognition. It was our honor, and thank you for entrusting Choose DuPage to administer the program. Thank you to Liz and Jeff and Mary Catherine and the whole team in the state's attorney's office for helping us. Thank you to Member Krajewski, my local accounting expert, when we had questions on some tax returns we couldn't understand. But most importantly, on behalf of the business community and all of those businesses that were helped, it was much needed relief during a really crazy time. And I also want to just take a moment to thank Teresa O'Brien from my office, because she was the keeper of the keys on this whole program, and all of the Choose DuPage board members who volunteered their time to serve on the grant committee to review the application. So again, thank you for entrusting us with this program. It was our honor to serve.
Okay, and our second award today is, I'd like to invite Member Garcia, Mike Citrick, and Megan Shebeck to the podium. Okay, the second award we're highlighting today is the DuPage Community Transformation Partnership between the county and the DuPage Foundation. The county board provided $10 million to the foundation to assist with food insecurity, housing instability, mental health, and substance use disorder, including the $1.3 million the board celebrated at its last board meeting. Congratulations to our committee leadership, including Chair Greg Schwarzy and Vice Chair Paula Deacon Garcia, Department Director Mary Keating, and the Foundation, including Executive Director Mike Citrick, Board Member Megan Seebeck, and everyone involved in this process.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for having us back this morning. Foundation is so proud to be sharing this award with the county. This has been a fantastic partnership. It is doing phenomenal things on a daily basis. So we are thrilled to see it getting national attention. I hope it inspires other partnerships. You guys are doing amazing things. And in addition to the grant making impact, know that this is helping us leverage other partnerships and bringing charitable dollars to our community to perpetuate this impact beyond the scope of this partnership. So we look forward to continuing to do more work with you. I want to just quickly recognize my colleague Barb Sapiniak, our Vice President for Programs, who's here. This would not be happening without Barb, without Mary Keating, and the work of our partnership, our Transformation Partnership Committee with Paula and Greg and everyone. So thank you, Chair Conroy, and thank you, all of you.
Okay, and now for our third award, I invite Kimberly Barest and the Circuit Judge Paul Fullerton to the podium. Okay, for our final presentation today, we welcome Kim Barest and Judge Paul Fullerton from the 18th Judicial Circuit Court for their work with the Eviction Mediation Program. This NACO award winning program provides tenants and landlords with referrals to community resources such as rental assistance programs, housing sufficiency programs, free or affordable legal assistance, and mediation services. Congratulations to you and all those assisting with this outstanding initiative that helps our residents avoid eviction.
Thank you. I am Paul Fullerton. There's two reasons I'm here. One is Chief Judge Popejoy could not be here. And two is that I'm the presiding judge of the Chancery Division, and the eviction mediation program falls under the Chancery umbrella. But the real person that needs to speak to you is Kimberly Barest. She's the reason this is so successful. So Kimberly.
Thank you, Judge Fullerton, for your kind words and your support of this program. The eviction mediation program is an example of the incredible positive impact local government has when different units of government work together with local agencies. I have a list of people who've contributed to making this program a success that I quickly want to thank. It was Chief Judge Popejoy and Court Administrator Suzanne Armstrong who ensured that we had a plan ready for the end of the eviction moratorium. They had a vision for what the response needed to be from our circuit and provided the leadership we needed to get started. Their continued support of this program is essential to our success. Thank you to Mary Keating and Joan Fox for their leadership and the case managers from Community Services who've been actively helping tenants and landlords apply for court-based rental assistance funds. Since these federal funds became available in October 2021, we have had over $10 million distributed to DuPage County landlords and tenants, which in turn helps prevent homelessness, helps limit the economic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic on landlords, tenants, and all residents of DuPage County. Prairie State Legal Services has ensured that legal aid attorneys are available in our courtroom 5 days a week. Thank you to Denise Bezick, who's been a leader to help us train and plan this important part of our program. From the beginning, DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk Candace Adams and her leadership team have been instrumental and quick to respond to the ever-changing needs of this program. Daily, Alyssa Fortino, our mediation coordinator, is instrumental to our success. She's coordinated over 600 mediation cases and is helping 70 to 90 people on average monthly reaching out to our eviction help desk. A special thank you to the Judicial Public Safety Committee that was then chaired by Julie Renahan, who were committed to our program, to Jason Blumenthal for his support and assistance. And we're grateful to the DuPage County Board for your support of this initiative and the ARPA funds that make this program completely possible. We're very honored to accept this award. It's been incredibly impactful to me to have been able to be a part of it. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Member Desart?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank them so much for their hard work in that service. I wanted to give you just a little bit of a personal note about what they do over there. In March of 2020, there was a woman in Aurora who contacted me and she was about to be evicted. But remember March of 2020 when the pandemic first started, they stopped accepting new clients at homeless shelters. So she was worried about what she would do, where she would go. She couldn't go to a homeless shelter, obviously, at that point. And so every month this woman called me and I said, nope, you're not going to be evicted. Every month during the COVID pandemic, she would call me and I would reassure her that there were no evictions. Well, at the end of the COVID process, obviously, then she went through this eviction relief mediation program and she got to stay in her home. So I just wanted to let them know that how impactful what they do really is to an individual basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Desart. Okay, now I'd like to invite Barbara Lynn to the podium. As you know, the state Supreme Court ruled last month that the pre-trial release provisions of the Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today, or Safety Act, were constitutional. As a state representative, I was proud to vote for this important legislation. And after this bill passed, DuPage County went straight to work figuring out what the new law would require of us and what additional resources we need. Because of those efforts, DuPage County was the only county in the state ready to comply with this act as of January 1st. And we will hit the ground running on September 28th, abiding by the start date outlined in the Supreme Court opinion. We've made significant investments in body-worn cameras with the Sheriff's Office and increased staffing levels in the state's Attorney's Office and Public Defender's Office to ensure proper compliance with the law. We will continue to fund training for sheriff's deputies to comply with all new training standards required by the Act, including crisis intervention training and mental health screenings for law enforcement officers. I am grateful for the work of State's Attorney Barbara Lynn, who worked to craft the amendment language that made the Safety Act even stronger. And I had a personal investment in that work, so thank you very much. I know our state's attorney's office and our county's law enforcement officers will continue to keep DuPage County safe and secure. This morning, State's Attorney Berlin has asked to update the board on the amended Safety Act and how it will impact DuPage County. Bob, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Conroy, members of the board. Always good to be back here. So just to kind of summarize, the bill I'm talking about is House Bill 1095. It was passed both houses on December 1st, 2022, signed by the governor on December 6th. It was supposed to become effective January 1st. When the Supreme Court put the Safety Act on hold, it was held in abeyance until the recent opinion from the Illinois Supreme Court. It now goes into effect September 18th. So let's go first talk about what the law is right now. And the law allows judges to release defendants on their own recognizance if they do not pose a danger to any person or the community. And that's been the law for years. In determining how to set bail, judges are to consider the safety of any other person or the community. So prior to the Safety Act, the definition of real and present threat to the physical safety of any person or persons included a threat to the community. When the original Safety Act was passed, that section of the statute was removed and it was blank. If you recall, when I spoke here after the original Safety Act was passed, the concern that we all had, state's attorneys had, is that the only way for judges to hold defendants on a dangerousness standard is if they found they were a threat to a specific person or persons. And that community standard had been taken out of the statute. So on top is what the law was before, that threat to a person or high likelihood of willful flight. The most significant change in the new amendment is that judges can hold defendants if they are a real and present threat to the safety of any person or persons or the community. That community standard is back in there. And it's based on the specific articulable facts of the case. And the state has the burden, just like we do now, of proving those elements. So this is the new law provides that the way judges can hold defendants is under section 110-6.1, or when the defendant has a high likelihood of willful flight and there's been a hearing. And I'm going to talk about those factors. So this is the old definition of willful flight. This was in the original Safety Act. What the state would have to prove is that the defendant was intentionally trying to evade prosecution by concealing themselves. Furthermore, a pattern of non-appearance in court is not going to be admissible to show future intent to evade prosecution. That has all been changed in the amendment. There's a new definition of willful flight, and now it is intentional conduct with the purpose of thwarting the judicial process to avoid prosecution. A much easier standard for the state to prove. And in addition, someone who has missed court on numerous occasions before, that evidence is now admissible for judges to consider that they're likely to miss court in the future. So we're going to go through all of the sections of the statute where judges can hold defendants. The first requirement is the state has to file a petition to detain. Without a petition, the judges don't have the discretion. But if the state files a petition, there's going to be a hearing. And these are the sections that allow for detention. The first one is section A1, and these are all felonies that are non-probationable other than forcible felonies, where someone is a threat to a real and present threat to the safety of any person, persons, or the community based on the specific facts of the case. So these felonies listed here are all non-probationable felonies that are non-forcible. I'm going to get to the forcible felonies in a second. All of these felonies listed, including drug-induced homicide, armed violence, your non-probationable DUI cases, someone on their fourth DUI or greater, now are detainable under a dangerousness standard, and they weren't when the original Safety Act was passed. In addition, your non-probationable drug offenses, including a lot of your deliveries and possession with intent over a certain amount, become detainable. A1.5 are your forcible felonies. So murders, carjacking, armed robbery, robberies, home invasion, vehicular invasion, arson, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated battery resulting in great bodily harm are all forcible felonies, all detainable. The one felony which the General Assembly left out, and there was much discussion, heated discussion over this, was burglary. Burglary is only detainable if someone is a willful risk of flight. Residential burglary is a detainable offense because it's non-probationable. but burglary is the one that they left out. So on the left are your offenses under the original Safety Act. All of those were not detainable under a dangerousness standard. And you see on the right, they all are now with these new sections and new definitions. And again, these are the original Safety Act. There were forcible felonies such as robbery, aggravated robbery, arson, kidnapping that were non-detainable under dangerousness because you can get probation. That has now all been changed under the new amendment, House Bill 1095. Okay, move on to A2. These are your stalking and aggravated stalking cases. They are detainable if the defendant poses a real and present threat to the safety of a victim of the alleged offense. Notice they took out physical safety because it includes now physical and mental, which is something that we pushed for. Okay, A3 are your violations of orders of protection, stalking no contact orders, or civil no contact orders. Violations of those offenses where it's shown again that the person is a threat to persons, or the community, those are detainable. A4 are domestic batteries, aggravated domestic batteries. These include Class A misdemeanor domestic batteries. Judges have discretion on those cases. And again, you'll see the word physical was taken out. That includes emotional safety of a victim. So judges can detain in those offenses. Again, if they find the person is a threat to persons, or the community. A5 are all of your sexual offenses, all sex assault, all sex abuse offenses, all detainable, with the exception of certain offenses, including prostitution, public indecency, solicitation of a sexual act, obscenity, bigamy, fornication, and adultery. Some of those statutes have been on the books for a long time, but all other sexual assault, sexual abuse cases are detainable. Okay, now we go to our A6 offenses. These are many of the gun offenses, including unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, unlawful use of a weapon that are non-probationable, includes trafficking in humans, involuntary servitude, aggravated discharge of a firearm. Again, these are all offenses that are detainable when someone is a threat to persons, or the community. In addition, they added a number of offenses that were not in the original Safety Act that are now detainable, including child abduction, threatening a public official, hate crimes were not originally detainable under dangerousness. They are now, including reckless homicide, involuntary manslaughter. And these are all new offenses which were added in the amendment, including felony violations of the Humane Care for Animals Act, and certain DUI offenses where you can get probation, felony DUIs, including DUI while operating a school bus or causing death or great bodily harm. Aggravated DUI, where you cause death, if there are extenuating circumstances, judges can give someone probation. So they've added that now to the list of detainable offenses under dangerousness. Under A7, they added all attempts to commit all of those offenses in 1 through 6. So all of the offenses that I went through, an attempt to commit any of those becomes detainable under the dangerousness standard. And then finally, A8 is your risk of willful flight. Any felony where someone's proven to be a risk of willful flight is detainable, with the exception of class 4 felonies. So there still are some non-detainable offenses. Now, these felonies listed here are not detainable under dangerousness. We talked about burglary, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, retail theft, organized retail crime, and identity theft under $100,000. Even if someone is a danger to the community, those are not detainable. And the felonies listed here are class 4s, and they're truly just non-detainable under either dangerousness or willful risk of flight. And that includes financial exploitation of an elderly person, harassment through electronic communications, eavesdropping, obstructing justice, or resisting arrest. If you recall, last time I spoke here about this, I've been a huge proponent and remain a huge proponent of the New Jersey model, which gives judges discretion in all felony cases under a dangerousness standard or willful risk of flight. So you can see the amendment is significantly better than what we had, but I believe there's still some more work to do. And I'm hopeful that we're going to get there because I'm a huge believer in judicial discretion. Judges are in the best position to make those decisions. All right, so let's talk about the conduct of the hearings. Prior to a hearing on detention, we have discovery obligations. Anything that we are going to rely on, we have to tender to the defense. If the defendant does not have an attorney, a public defender must be appointed. That's nothing new for DuPage. That has been our practice. The public defender is at bond court 7 days a week. We're going to continue to have court on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. The petition that we file, again, they took out the language where we had to identify the specific person or persons that we believe the defendant posed a danger to. That was the original law. Now it's sufficient to allege threat to persons, again, or the community. Additionally, the state now can file a second petition if we have additional information. Under the original law, we were limited to one petition. If we become aware of additional evidence, which oftentimes we do, we may get additional evidence from the crime lab, we can come again in front of a court with a petition to detain. Burden of proof, and this is what we have to prove in every case for detention. The proof is evident or the presumption great that the defendant committed one of the offenses listed in the statute. Secondly, that the defendant's a real and present threat to the safety of a person, persons, or the community. Third, that no condition or combination of conditions are sufficient to protect the community from the defendant or the defendant's willful flight. If all of those conditions are met, judges will have the ability to detain defendants. And if not, they will be released or released with conditions. For certain non-probationable drug offenses, and these are only the ones that are become non-probationable because they're within 500 feet of a protected area, the state has to prove both dangerousness and willful risk of flight. These are all the factors in the statute that judges will use to determine dangerousness. And that includes obviously the facts of the case, defendant's history, characteristics, defendant's criminal history, any statements, whether a weapon was used, whether they have access to weapons. All of these factors judges will consider when they make that determination. At each subsequent court appearance, in order to continue detention, the judge has to make a finding again that there's no set of conditions that can be imposed to avoid the specific real and present threat to any person or willful flight or the community. That was the original law that didn't include community. Now it includes community, but judges still have to make that determination. But it becomes easier because of that new definition, including threat to the community. In determining the conditions of release, judges can release defendants on electronic monitoring or home confinement. One of the changes in the law is for electronic monitoring, judges have discretion to give day-for-day credit for each day on electronic monitoring. The law has been when they're on home confinement with monitoring, they do get a day-for-day credit off of their sentence. In determining the conditions of release, also people who are on monitors 2 days a week have the ability, at a minimum of 2 days a week, to go out and do certain things, such as go to the grocery store or take care of other basic necessities. And they still get that credit for home confinement if they're on home confinement. All right, revocation. So what happens when someone is given pretrial release? How can that release be revoked? If they're on release for a felony or a Class A misdemeanor, and they're charged with another felony or Class A misdemeanor, the state can file a petition and there will be a hearing, and the judges then will have the ability to revoke someone's pretrial release. That petition that we file has to be filed within 72 hours. If they are on release for a felony or Class A misdemeanor and they're charged with a Class B or C misdemeanor, the judges can sanction the defendant. They can't revoke their pretrial release. And there's a number of sanctions that they can impose, including 30 days in the county jail, or they can change the conditions, or they can revisit the original conditions of pretrial release. So one of the big issues in the original Safety Act is what happens when a defendant doesn't show up in court. Judges were limited to issuing a summons for the person to appear in court. That person would have to be served with the summons, and then if they did not appear, a judge could issue a warrant. That was a big problem that we raised, especially in this county where 60% of our felonies are committed by people that don't live here. So it was going to cause a huge burden on the police and a safety issue to go serve people with summonses. Now, when someone doesn't show up in court, if they've been released, judges have the ability to issue a warrant. They can still issue a summons, but they have the discretion to issue a warrant for the defendant to appear. For people on release for other than a felony or Class A, someone's on release for a Class B or C, those are your sanctions if they violate the conditions, including a verbal or written admonishment, 30 days in jail, or a modification of their pretrial conditions. Originally, under the Safety Act, if someone was on a monitor and they failed to comply with conditions of the monitor, or they cut the monitor off, we would have to wait 48 hours before they could be charged with escape. That has now been changed. That 48-hour requirement was removed so that someone who's on a monitor violates the conditions, they can be charged with a Class 3 felony. Violations of bail bond. This is one of the changes. Right now, somebody's out on bond, they commit a new offense. They can be indicted for one class lower than what they're on bond for. So somebody's on bond for a class 2 burglary, they commit a new offense while they're on bond. In addition to that new offense, we can go to the grand jury, we can indict them for violation of bail bond. That section has been taken out. Originally, when the Safety Act was passed, they made all those violations class A misdemeanors. Now, only if they are in possession of a gun can we charge them with a new offense. So this is the way the original Safety Act was. Again, a class A misdemeanor. The underlying offense was a felony. They have removed that. It's a class 4 if they violate and they're in possession of a weapon. Judges still have contempt powers, however. So if someone violates a condition of release, the state has the ability to file a criminal contempt charge. And if we seek over 180 days, defendant is entitled to a trial, but there is no limit on a judge's contempt powers. And that specific language remains in the amendment. Another big change to the amendment was the ability of police to arrest on class B and C misdemeanors. So if you recall, this was the subject of a lot of discussion. The original law said that to arrest for a class B or C, the police had to find the person was an obvious threat to the community, or obvious threat to the community, or they had medical or mental health issues that pose a risk to their own safety. That was the only way they could make an arrest. That has been changed. So the law enforcement officers now, if they reasonably believe that the accused poses a threat to the community or any other person, they can arrest the person. Or if they issue a citation in lieu of arrest for a class B or C misdemeanor, and the behavior continues. So someone's trespassing, they give them a citation. If the person refuses to leave, now the police can say, okay, you're now under arrest, and they can actually make a custodial arrest. So that entire issue was corrected with this amendment. So what happens to people who are currently in custody on cash bonds come September 18th? The defense attorneys have to file a request for a hearing. And there will be either 7 days, 60 days, or 90 days to conduct a hearing. 7 days if they don't fall into one of those categories. 60 days if they're a flight risk, or 90 days under the dangerousness standard. The reason that was put in there is because, let's say a defendant's bond right now is $100,000 and they have to post $10,000 to get out. If they have $9,500 saved up and they only need $500, the defense attorney may not want to file a petition for a hearing because there's a chance the person will be detained without the ability to post. So they will have the option to continue under cash bail, and if they raise the money, then they can post and get out, which was a much fairer way, and it gives that discretion to the defense attorneys to file. So on September 18th, the jailhouse doors do not open at all. The people who are in custody remain in custody, and if they file petitions, we will be conducting all of those hearings. So again, 90 days, 60 days, or 7 days for reconsideration. Okay, on any detention hearing, whether a person's detained or whether they're not detained, either side has a right to appeal. Right now, every county except 2, including DuPage, Cook being the other one, all criminal appeals are handled by the state appellate prosecutor. We started our own criminal appeals division after I became state's attorney. The counties, until the funding is in place, the counties are responsible for their own appeals. So we are going to be hiring attorneys on a contract basis to handle appeals, just the appeals on these cases. And the defense attorneys, public defenders will be responsible for appeals on other cases. They're not, should not be that involved because the transcripts are just going to be of the actual detention hearing themselves. So the records are going to be much shorter. And we expect in the first year that there will be a lot of appeals. One of the other changes to the law deals with concurrent and consecutive sentencing. This is something the General Assembly threw in the law, and that is right now, the bond on bond offenses. Somebody's on bond and they commit a new crime. If they're going to the penitentiary, those sentences must be served consecutively. Under the new amendment, it says they may be served consecutively. So judges will have discretion in those cases. Okay. So again, September 18th, the law goes into effect. We are prepared. We've been prepared. We've been having meetings with all the stakeholders, our chief judge, the presiding judge, Judge Deaton, who's going to be assigned to the detention courtroom. I know that Jeff York and his office, they're ready to implement this law, and we are hopeful and we actually expect that as we do in every aspect of criminal justice, DuPage will lead the way and be a model for the rest of the state.
Okay, thank you for that. Member Cahill.
Quick question. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was excellent. I just wanted to know if you can email us the PowerPoint.
Sure.
Is that okay? Because I'd like to review it. I was starting to take notes, but it was too much. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Member Guston.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. That was a wonderful presentation, very detailed, hit every component that I was thinking about how it was going to change from the original act to the current act that's going to be put in place. The only gray area that I wasn't sure about was the obstruction of a police officer is non-detainable offense. So if somebody is yelling and screaming and swearing at an officer, what obviously they can try to decelerate or decompress or whatever to try to get the person to calm down. But what if that doesn't happen and they just continue to be verbally abusive to the peace officer?
So the officer can still make the arrest for obstructing a peace officer. They can take the person back to the station, process them. They can either release them with a court date, or they have the discretion to send the person to court for conditions. However, when they get to court, the judge doesn't have the ability to detain, but a judge does have the ability to put conditions of pretrial release on that person.
And so that would be like mental health assistance or something for that individual potentially.
Sure, a monitor,
Okay.
All kinds of conditions that would apply to any case would apply to that situation.
Thank you. Thank you very
Sure.
much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Member Childress, could you, and then Krajewski.
Thanks, Mr. Berlin. It was great. Just a quick question. I saw a lot of home monitoring. Who pays for that? Does the county pay
The
for
county
that?
pays for that.
The state doesn't give us anything on that at all? Or-
Well, I don't think they give money specifically. I know there's grant money. I'm not sure. I believe that our probation department gets money from the state. I'm just not sure how much, and is it specific to that issue only?
Okay, and then the other question I had is how many more attorneys will we need?
How many more attorneys?
Attorneys.
Well, the board has graciously approved the hiring, I think so far 13 additional for our office and additional public defenders. And we're in the process of trying to hire them. And as you know, it's a challenge. For us, it's a challenge for the public defender. But we're doing the best we can.
Thank you.
Member Kajewski.
Yeah, thanks. I know, Bob, under the old system, when there was cash bail, the chief judge said that there was maybe a couple hundred people here in DuPage who never showed back up for trial. And so the arrest warrants were issued. So clearly there's going to be, statistically a bunch of these that are no cash bails that aren't going to come back. Did they make changes now to that where instead of, I guess under the old one, this old law, they had to send another letter out, give them a second chance? And go serve them in the.
Right. So they did. And the judges have the ability when someone doesn't show up in court to issue a warrant now.
Okay.
And that is part of the amendment. They have discretion. They can issue a summons. And then if they don't show up, a warrant, or they can just issue a warrant.
So the local police department doesn't have to drive into Chicago now, which they would never would have done, and serve them. The judge-
Correct.
Okay.
And one of the big advantages of issuing a warrant is a warrant goes into the lead system.
Correct.
So the police pull someone over, they run their name through the system, any warrant is going to
So
go
that
up.
cleanup bill address that issue.
Yes.
Repair that.
Yes, and that was a significant change.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Member
Thanks so-
Chaplin and then member Ozog.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. It's a great presentation. And I just want to say, thanks to our chair for her work in Springfield on this. And thanks for your work on this right now, because I know some of the board members early on were very upset about this legislation, but it really is something that we should all be very proud of, because it's going to make significant changes towards a more social justice and a much more fair system. And I think that that is something that we all should be very, very proud of. And also, don't forget about the great improvements it makes for police training and mental health training for police, and the body cameras for the police, and the victims advocacy also in this bill. I mean, there's a lot of really great things in this bill. And again, I just wanted everybody that worked on it. I mean, it really is historic and something that it's going to take a lot of people to get used to, but I think it's something we should all be very proud of.
Ozog.
Thank you. To Member Chaplin's remarks, seeing the scope of what's been amended, I really want to thank you for your work. I believe you were one of 3 state's attorneys working toward
Correct.
a more conciliatory process where we can come to achieve some of the goals that Member Chaplin just discussed, but also have law enforcement and state's attorneys represented as well. So I want to thank you for your efforts here. It was obviously a huge job. So
Well,
thank you.
I appreciate that a lot. And I do have to give a shout out to my colleagues, State's Attorney Jamie Mosser in Kane County and Julia Reitz in Champaign County, because the 3 of us really worked incredibly hard. And the General Assembly, we were on Zoom calls for 8 weeks, about 6 to 8 hours a week, and then had hundreds of pages to prepare for the next call, in discussing all of these proposals.
It was a
And,
great collaborative effort. Really
It
appreciate
was. We accomplished a lot. And again, I'm still hopeful that there's still a few things I would like to see fixed. And we'll see how, this works come September, but I'm hopeful that we can get to that New Jersey model. Because if you talk to prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, everyone in the state of New Jersey really says that their no cash bail law is working incredibly well. But thank you very much.
Member Eckhoff and then member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the criticisms I had when we were talking about this at the beginning was that it was passed at 2:30 in the morning and there wasn't a whole lot of discussion. And the fact that you engaged in how many weeks subsequent to the law being passed?
8 weeks.
Yeah, and to me, that discussion should have been had before the first law was passed, because I don't think there was a whole lot of discussion on it. And I know you touted the New Jersey law as being something that we hope that we can eventually reach, because that is a system that's working. But you mentioned that there were still some things that you thought should be changed. What would those be?
So you still have some offenses that are non-detainable or non-detainable under a dangerousness standard. Burglary, for example, being one of them. Possession of a stolen motor vehicle, organized retail crime, which unfortunately we see a lot of. I'm a huge proponent, as I said, of judicial discretion. We give that authority to judges. They should hear the evidence and the arguments and make that decision. They're going to in most of these cases, but we're not at 100% yet.
Well, the judges are trying to do it and they do it every single day as opposed to the legislature. Just takes testimony and then pass something. Anything about catalytic converters? That's my
Unfortunately, theft. If
Get a bike.
with a price of a catalytic converter, they would be able to be detained only if they're a willful flight risk, but not a dangerousness standard.
Okay, well, if you find mine, let me know.
Unfortunately, that remains a problem here and elsewhere.
Painted orange. Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to echo what others have said. Thank you so much for getting these amendments made, because seeing the amendments, I think it would have been a much scarier situation on September 18th if you weren't able to push those through. So the 8 weeks, I know we talked to the phone. I know it was, right up to the new year, and you sacrificed a lot of your family holiday time. So I really can't thank you enough. And it is still a concern of mine, hearing that burglary, carjacking, retail theft, just seeing the numbers, how they've increased, seeing the smash and grabs and, what they're doing to, some of the retail, stores, and even hearing like Walmarts and Home Depots and things like that are closing in the city, that those communities really need those resources. And if there's no consequence to, that type of theft, then those communities that really need those resources are losing out on very important aspects to what they need for a good lifestyle. So, I know you, and I know that you're going to work really hard to get those changes implemented and do whatever you can. And I just can't thank you enough. I really ran for this position because of public safety and seeing some of the increased crime stats, and it's scary. And so, again, just thank you. And I know that you'll continue to push for those additional
Thank you.
amendments.
I don't want to, give a spoiler to my budget presentation, but I can tell you there are a number of violent felonies where our numbers are way down in this county in the last 6 months.
Okay, and having been in the General Assembly at the time and understanding a lot of what we went through, I will always personally be very grateful to Mr. Berlin for a specific part of the amendment that he fought for, and that was to keep public officials safe. So thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, on to the matter of public comment. According to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker is Al Hollenbeck.
Good morning. I'm a 38-year resident of unincorporated DuPage County in District 6, and also a proud graduate of Glenbard West High School. I'm here to speak briefly about the refuse consolidation proposal. I'd like to do a quick shout out to Board Member Rutledge for moving this proposal forward with transparency and with public input. The best way to make a decision for the entire public, not just the noisy few. In addition to issues of noise, public safety, and cost savings, I'd like to speak to the impact of refuse trucks on township roads. I am a retired civil engineer, so I'd like to do a little engineering today. These township roads are not equivalent to the county roads. They were not built or ever built with the same, intended to be built to the same standards. Typical car, 2,000 to 4,000 pounds. Typical refuse truck, 30,000 to 40,000 pounds. But the devil's in the detail. The impact on these township roads is not proportional to the weight of the truck. It's exponentially related to the weight of these trucks. Impact could be as many as 1,000 cars would be equivalent to one refuse truck driving through our neighborhoods. In my case, 5 days a week, 7 in the morning till 5 p.m. In that critical period in the spring where we get the freeze thaw conditions, water gets under the pavement. What does it do? It freezes, it expands, it melts. That period of the year does the most damage to our township roads. In those periods, the equivalency is closer to 8, 9, maybe 10,000 vehicles to be equal to one refuse truck. So we have an opportunity now to extend the life of the pavement on our township roads. Township Highway Superintendent's done a great job patching, rehabilitating, but those roads are past their design line. At some point, we're going to have to rebuild the township roads in DuPage County. This proposal will extend that date by reducing the high damage truck traffic in the residential neighborhoods. Hopefully, this issue won't be just on a list of 4 or 5 bullets. It's significant, and it's an opportunity for us to avoid the day, or at least extend the day, when we have to do a multi-million-dollar investment in our township roads. MFT funds, county highway, tax revenue is simply not going to be enough. Thank you.
Michael Hoffman.
How you doing? My name is Michael Hoffman. I've been up here, I haven't been up here making a statement in a long time. Due as an elected official in Warrenville as an alderman, and I had some, in the last 4 years, I had open heart surgery, and so it's kind of been delayed. What's happening, but I'm here to speak about Paywell Day. And I have matter of fact, County Board Jim Zay should.
Excuse me, sir. Could you hold the microphone closer to your mouth? It's hard to hear you.
Now, what this is, it's a river profile of Paywell, the Paywell Dam and the DuPage River. Right here being Paywell Dam. This line right here, the 4th line, the bottom line out of the cluster of lines is the 10-year floodplain for Warrenville. I hope you can see a problem with that. It extends up to bottom of Warrenville Road, the bottom of Warrenville Road Bridge, which in 2008, there was water flowing over Warrenville Road to the, you get the secondary damming, and it floods out Warrenville horrifically. Personally, I get water, in that particular flood, I had water up to my doorknobs.
Sir, your presentation would be much more effective if we could hear you. That microphone is a tool. Please use it.
Excuse me?
Presentation would be much more effective if we could actually hear you. And that microphone is a tool. Please use it.
Okay. let's go back over it again as far as, Faywell Dam, the bottom four lines there. Or the top four lines on the Faywell Dam there, the bottom one is a 10-year floodplain. It extends up to Warrenville Road Bridge, which is right here, which is right there. And this made it much easier as if you had an easel here. Might be something you might want to invest in here, but in Warrenville in that 08 flood, we had water flowing over Warrenville Road. I believe about 18 inches, I was told, and it just my understanding is DuPage County reserved COVID funds. They now have money. This is a wrong that needs to be corrected. Warrenville's been living with the effects of this dam for 50 years now. Needs to be changed. I've been fighting this now, I think, for 14 or 15 years. And
Excuse me,
I'll keep.
sir, you're at 3 minutes. If you could wrap up, please. You're at
Excuse me.
3 minutes. If you could wrap up.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sherry Bone.
Thank you for this opportunity. My neighbors and I are here today. We have emailed our letters of our safety concerns to Representative Ozog, but we have not heard whether our letters were received. I have the copies here if the Transportation Committee would like them. We are here to support the Transportation Committee in the implementation of our request. The 50 homes with over 250 residents located along Winfield Road and Swan Lake Drive and Court between Roosevelt Road and Mack Road are landlocked. We have no safe access to St. James Forest Preserve, Blackwell Forest Preserve, or Cantini Park unless we drive our cars there. St. James and Blackwell now are connected with beautiful walking and bike paths across Winfield Road at Mack and Butterfield Roads. Those two new paths connect walkers, runners, and cyclists to those preserves and on to Herrick Lake, Arrowhead Park District, Denata Farm, and beyond. Walkers, runners, and cyclists risk their safety and their lives along this 1 mile stretch of Winfield Road known as Dead Man's Curve, just to access the amenities that all other DuPage residents enjoy without fear. Please give us a safe, level prairie path along the east side of shoulderless Winfield Road, where the speed limit is 45 miles per hour and vehicles routinely travel at 55 to 60. The distance is just 1.25 miles. Thank you very much.
Sharon Klein.
Hello, my name is Dr. Sharon Klein and I live on Swan Lake Court, so I'm a good follow-up to Sherry Bowen. I'm also here to speak about the need for a sidewalk along the east side of Winfield Road. Since I've lived in this area in 2007, my husband walked this path once and said that was the last time he will ever walk it again due to safety concerns. I, however, have been tempted by the new spur that was put in by the DuPage Forest Preserve District that now connects St. James Farm to the corner of Mack and Winfield. I like to bike, I like to hike. I walk this area routinely, but with concerns because several portions of this path are right up against the curb of Winfield Road where cars do go routinely 55 miles an hour. This area is treacherous. If you have seen the submission by our neighbor, Greg Murray, he gave a photograph and a video of this pathway. It is a well-worn footpath. You can see it is well utilized, but it is gravel. On my bicycle, I frequently fear that I'm going to get on some loose gravel and end up in traffic in Winfield Road. It is not a safe environment. A sidewalk along this area would certainly provide some level of safety, and it would connect Mack Road to Roosevelt Road along this eastern stretch of Winfield Road. I will, however, offer two sets of concerns that you would have to address in implementing this sidewalk. Number one is that there are several utility poles along this stretch. If a sidewalk were to be put in place, you would have to contend with placing a sidewalk around this, and in areas that are steeply sloped that would probably need to be graded, possibly even with a retention wall up against the fence of Cantini. So it would probably be an additional cost beyond just placing a sidewalk. Second concern is the heavy traffic that is very fast on Winfield Road. One of our neighbors in Swan Lake Court has had a total of 3 vehicles in her backyard that have hopped the curb off of that Dead Man's Curve on Winfield Road and wound up in her backyard. Certainly a sidewalk in that area might bring more foot traffic. It may bring more car pedestrian interactions. That would also have to be addressed. I don't know if a bumper that would protect walkers from cars hopping the curb would be a consideration as well. But I think these are things that you should consider when you consider placing a sidewalk along Winfield Road. Thank you very much.
Karen Rugg. Sure.
I don't know where the camera is. It seemed like when that man had them, they were this way. I want all of America to see these pictures. Poor Holly Hoopman, she had to come here for 4 years to get the what do you call it, the written word on the bulletin caption. That poor man that's just left, he's been coming here for what? Did he say 15, 19 years? I've been coming here for 9 years. And I've called Miss Cronin 4 times, never answers. I've seeked out help from everybody. Jim Zay, he's been out to my house and he didn't do nothing. I took him to see this medical building. He did nothing. You're posing as an engineer and you're not an engineer. You're manufacturing stamps. It's a tragedy that DuPage County can't have a professional, a civil engineer running your seat in water management. Does this look like water management to you? There's barricades. This is a DuPage County Forest Preserve that's been flooding it out for years. Mr. Hebrian, all those people on the board at DuPage County Forest Preserve, they do nothing. They just pour and dump the water down on the medical building. I've been begging and pleading for help. And you make up lies on YouTube. You make up lies. There's the parking lots for the professionals that work there. There's the mud they gotta park in. You don't park in mud. Why should they? This is maybe, I'm not sure if it was a nurse or maybe it was the
the guy, the maintenance man, the crew that worked at night. The whole street, it was like a boat driving by me, and you've done nothing. I've told you and told you and told you. Nobody does nothing. Dan Cronin did nothing. Nothing. Cindy Cronin did nothing. I love the things that you printed when you were running for office, how you care about neighborhoods and people. You never answered the phone, did you?
Okay, can we perhaps talk about the issues and not
Straight.
attack people?
Sam Torrentoni just a couple weeks ago said there's no water there. Where were you? I begged him and Pachelsky, come out and see what's going on. 9 years, nothing. Where's the water? I don't see any water. Isn't that what you told all these people? And you run for office.
Ms. Rugg, you're at 3 minutes. If you could please wrap up.
More mud. Nurses parking in mud.
Okay, Miss
And
Rugg.
then Mrs. Chaplin loves nurses.
Miss Rugg, you
Her
are
daughter.
past your 3 minutes. Please wrap it up.
There's no water there. I gotta leave. Here you go. Thanks.
Stephanie Muzzarelli.
Berlin.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Muzzarelli, and I'm here for the melanin rezoning petition. The person who normally comes and represents the neighborhood is not here today, so he asked me to come and make sure that the letter that he sent of the 6 homeowners that surround the property was received, in which they all were opposed to the rezoning. And I think it was mostly because this land was subdivided in 1929 into 20 lots that are all acre lots, and everybody has built their homes based on what they thought the layout was going to be. And including the person who wants to refigure the lots. And I think the people who are directly next to them and across the street think that this change would impact them negatively in terms of where their homes are located. And one of them would be almost on top of it. Somebody built a house right next to it. The lot lines would almost be on top of each other. So I think it's mostly the community wants things to stay the way they are, because that's what we've all built our houses thinking it was going to be. And the person who wants the subdivision has now sold that house and lot. And I think the new people realize that it was situated kind of the wrong way, that they should have situated it in a way that you took into account that you had a side yard. So that's where your main areas of living should be, as we had to do with our house. We have the same situation. And so I think changing it is going to impact those neighbors who are right next to that house and across from that house. And they all believe, and they still believe, they were all part of the Zoom call, and they still believe it is a negative impact. And the hearing officer agreed. And then when it went on to the planning committee, I guess they don't think it's an issue, but the neighbors would like things to stay the way they are. So I appreciate you taking that into account. Thank you.
Okay, the board has received public comment via our online portal. Per board policy, those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed, and comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. And on to the consent agenda. I seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. Okay, and we move on to 23-2605 DuPage County Board Minutes, regular meeting, Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. 23, 24, 12, 7, 13, 2023 auto debit pay list. 23, 24, 11, 7, 14, 2023 pay list. 23, 24, 37, 7, 18, 2023 pay list. 23, 24, 46, 7, 19, 2023 public records refunds pay list. 23, 24, 62, 7, 21, 2023 pay list. 23, 24, 91, 7, 25, 2023 pay list. 23, 25, 02, 7, 26, 2023 LIHWAP payment pay list. 23, 25, 61, 7, 28, 2023 pay list. 23, 25, 84, 8, 1, 2023 pay list. 23, 24, 28 clerk's office receipts and disbursement statement, December 2022 to May 2023. 23, 25, 92 treasurer's report of investments and demand deposits as of 6/30/2023. 23, 2601 change orders to various contracts as specified in the attached packet. All in favor. And now to County Board and Member Childress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today I rise to move on 23, 24, 93.
Second.
A travel request for the County Board Chair to attend the Public Leaders and for Inclusion Council in Washington, DC from August 17, 2023 through August 20, 2023. Expenses to include transportation, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, parking, mileage, etc., and per diem approximately for the total of $1,459.12.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans,
Aye.
Galassi, Garcia,
Aye.
Dustin, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori, you,
Aye.
Zay, Cahill, and Chaplin.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Member Childress. On to Finance and Member Chaplin.
Thank you and good morning, Madam Chair. So we're just going to be pulling items J and K from today's agenda. So I'll pull those as they come up. I just wanted to give fair warning. So with that, I will move to approve FIR 016823 acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Voter Registration Systems grant in the amount of $150,166.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress, Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans,
Aye.
Galassi, Garcia,
Aye.
Guston, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori, you,
Aye.
Zay, and Kate.
Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 016923 acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Department of Human Services Supportive Housing Program grant in the amount of $137,747.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017023 acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the aging case coordinator in the amount of $299,567.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017123 acceptance of the Illinois State Opioid Response Criminal Justice Medication Assistance Treatment Integration in the amount of $25,000.
Okay, we're going to need a roll call on this.
Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress, Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans,
Aye.
Galassi, Garcia,
Aye.
Guston, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori, you,
Aye.
Zay, and Cahill.
Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017323 acceptance and appropriation of donated funds initiative program grant intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $103,119.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin, and then back to 9E, please.
Wait, I'm sorry, what did I? Oh, okay, 9E. Oh, I crossed off. All right, do you want me to do 9E right now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I move approval of FIR 017223, acceptance of the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board Law Enforcement Camera Grant in the amount of $31,104.
Leave is granted, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017423, acceptance and appropriation of the ILDCFS Children's Advocacy Center Grant in the amount of $312,185.
Leave is granted, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017523, acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the Illinois Department of Human Services Supportive Housing Grant in the amount of it's an increase from $137,747 to $151,563.
Leave is granted, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 017623, budget transfers from 8/8/2023, various companies and accounting units.
Leave is granted, Member Chaplin.
Okay, I'm moving on to item L. I move approval of FIP 001423, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Mail Services LLC for assessment mailers for the DuPage County taxpayers for the period of August 8th, 2023 through August 7th, 2024. $189,750.
Leave is granted, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. And finally, I move approval of FIP 001523, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Amazon Capital Services for the purchase of office supplies and miscellaneous items for various county departments in the amount of $332,100.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member
Thank you.
Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and on to Animal Services and Member Krajewski. Okay, and Development Committee and Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Move approval of DCO 31-23 zoning 2321.
Second.
Melanin. This is approving a variation to reduce the required lot width from 165 feet to approximately 145.3 feet, and a variation to reduce the required lot size from the required 100,000 square feet to approximately 34,635 and 34,632 for 2 lots in District 3. This was denied by the zoning hearing officer. It was approved by the Development Committee. The motion is in the affirmative. It will require a 3/4 majority vote if you wish to sustain the finding of the Development.
Okay, Member Eckhoff.
This proposal is another example of what I don't like to see in zoning changes, because the lots in the subdivision in the immediate area have all been changed to about approximately the same size, but we've got the same zoning that makes these huge variations required. And what I would prefer to see, and said before, is that the zoning change so that all the lots are consistent with what the zoning is, and the residents who I think were here today talking about their concerns would not feel at risk that the zoning or the huge variations that are occurring across the street are going to come and visit them next year. So I'm not in favor of this proposal, but I would be in favor of changing the zoning for that particular.
Okay, Member Krajewski.
Well, I think the rest of that block is incorporated for Ridge, but the 2 lots, I think Paul Haas could probably discuss it better, but the 2 lots are currently there are situated like north-south, and they're just changing them to east-west, same size. And as he talked about even buildability, if they do that, it makes it easier to build on that second lot. There's already a house on the first lot. It's because if they do it currently, they'll have to take down all the trees that are out there. So it made the lot better buildable. And at least it was discussed at our meeting that I think the Village of Burr Ridge wants, they objected also, or at least their planner, because they have water on that side that they want part of their water plan attached to Burr Ridge, where at the other side they won't. But we've approved these identical all over the county. Paul Austin brought that up for our development. So I found it hard to overturn or to vote with the zoning board, because we've done it everywhere else in the county. And it was just, it's not changing the size of any lots, it's just changing them from north, south to east, west. There's a house on one already. And the other lot to be buildable would be easier to build without taking down all the trees. I don't know, Paul's here. Maybe you could discuss that, Paul, and we've approved these all over the county. It appears that
Yeah, what you said is consistent with what I said at Development Committee. These have been approved in the past. It's not changing the lot size or technically the lot width of what's existing out there. It's just reconfiguring them, as you said, from horizontal lots going east-west to vertical lots going north-south.
and if they would keep it this way, and they wanted to build on that second lot, they would have to pretty much take all whole forest, the trees down or build.
That's correct. In addition, the lot that is vacant now has a rise on it of about 7 to 10 feet. So they have to regrade the property as well. So not only taking all the trees down, but they'd have to regrade the property to get a buildable pad there to build a house on it.
Madam
Member
Chair,
Cahill.
may I inquire, Paul, as long as he's here, Paul, even with the reconfiguration of the lots, the setbacks would still exist, would they not?
Correct.
So what we heard this morning would necessarily be effective.
That's correct. I think what you heard this morning was about rezoning as well. This is not rezoning. This is a variation to the technical 100,000 square foot lot requirement, because this property is zoned R1 to something less. But what that less is consistent with what's currently with these properties, and also currently in the subdivision as well. All the lots in the subdivision are about the same size, but they would still have to meet all of the other bulk regulations: height of the house, setbacks, size of the house.
Okay, Member Guston.
It's not working. All right, I'm gonna talk. Oh, it is. It's not green. I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much. I was at the meeting and Paul provided tons of information. The big picture on this, though, is the lack of housing that we have in DuPage County. And we need to be able to be more amenable to this type of modification. It's a real common sense modification to be able to have both these lots be developed easily. And the lower inventory we have available in the housing market, the higher the prices are going, so the less affordability we have. So anything we can do to kind of streamline and help this type of process move smoothly and quickly through, I think is a good idea. So I will be supporting this variance.
Okay, Desart and then Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did attend the development meeting where this was discussed, and I love the notion of not chopping down that forest of trees. But can I just ask, Paul, why did the zoning board deny this? If we approve these sorts of things all the time at the county, what was the thought process? For the
It was the zoning hearing officer, it wasn't the zoning board.
Oh,
just to be
gotcha.
clear.
Just the zoning
one
officer?
person.
And what was that person's thought process on denying?
So
Thank you.
with every zoning case, you have to present a hardship or practical difficulty as to why you need the variation. And the zoning hearing officer felt that there was a lack of a hardship or practical difficulty. And also the only folks that showed up were objectors to this petition, including the Village of Burr Ridge staff. So for those reasons, the zoning hearing officer felt that there just wasn't enough burden of proof presented by the petitioner to support the variation.
Thank you. And Chairman Tornatori, so I do approve of this because I don't want those trees cut down. So how does one vote? In the affirmative or in the negative? To approve this?
If you're in favor of the petition, you would vote in the affirmative, which would be the same as what the development committee did.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Member Cahill. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert, Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy and Krajewski. Voting aye, 2 voting no.
Okay, motion's approved. Thank you, Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 32-23 zoning 2328. Katie's Place. This is to approve a variation to reduce parking spaces for a Class A restaurant from 19 parking spaces to 10. This is also denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals, as well as denied by the Development Committee. As such, it would require a 3/4 or 14 votes to approve.
Okay, are there any questions? I need a motion.
I did move to approve it.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori,
No.
you,
Pass.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert, Desart. Eckhoff. Evans,
No.
Galassi, Garcia,
No.
Justin, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, you,
No.
and Childress.
Okay. Motion fails. Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move approval of DCO 33-23 zoning 2330 Bacchus. This is a variation to allow a closed privacy fence within 10 feet corner yard setback, approved by both the zoning hearing officer and the development.
Okay, any questions? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You,
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert, Desart. Eckhoff. Evans,
Aye.
Galassi, Garcia,
Aye.
Justin, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, and Schwartz.
Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 34-23 zoning 2331. Additional use to allow an existing deck structure to remain less than 3 feet from the interior side setback, both recommended by the zoning hearing officer and the development committee.
Okay, leave is granted. Roll.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And finally, I move approval of DCO 35-23 zoning 2340 GP Capital Management LLT. This is to approve a conditional use with certain exceptions from 40-foot required yard setback, exception from 20 feet required rear yard setback, and exception to allow parking, an existing 40-foot corner side yard, exception to allow parking in existing 20-foot interior side yard, exception from 20-foot required interior side yard setback, and an exception from a 20-foot required interior side yard setback on proposed lot 2, all
Second.
approved by the zoning board of appeals and the development.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Economic Development Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We look forward to our next Economic Development Committee meeting next week. And we will be welcoming Jay Dick, who is the Senior Director of State and Local Government Affairs for the organization Americans for the Arts that is located in Washington, DC. So he will be joining us via Zoom, and we really look forward to his presentation, which will be on the topic of the arts and economic development. Thank you.
And Member Rutledge, Environmental.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. Couple things this morning. I kind of want to remind everybody that we are collecting things that normally might go to the landfill that could be beneficial in another life. That would be paper grocery bags collected in the cafeteria, as well as bread tags there. And I also have a place here. I want to add aluminum pop tops to that. I send those off to Member Grant, and those benefit Ronald McDonald House. So if you can kind of keep that in your mind, I'd appreciate that. The other thing is the thank you to the board for allowing the next survey about the trash hauling contract to go out. That should be going out in the next week, 10 days. So please, for those of you who are representing townships that don't already have a single hauler trash contract, please remind your residents in the unincorporated areas to respond to the survey. It's important that we take the pulse of people on this issue. And the one thing I did want to say about the public comment is He said 30 to 40,000 pounds per trash truck. I am informed by the trash hauling companies that when those trucks are fully packed, it's 60,000 pounds. So for those days or for those neighborhoods that have 4, 5, 6 companies servicing their streets, that's what's going up and down your street. So, again, watch for that survey. Thank you so much.
Okay, and Human Services, Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. I motion to approve HSP 0065-23 recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Lakeshore Dairy Incorporated for Fluid Dairy for the DuPage Care Center residents, cafeteria and cafes located in the JTK Administration Building and Judicial Office Facility for the period of September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2024 for a contract not to exceed $83,000.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Garcia,
Aye.
Guston, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori, you,
Aye.
Zay, Cahill, Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans,
Aye.
and Galasi.
Member Garcia.
I motion for approval to 23-2515 amendment to contract 6005-001 SCRV issued to Lifespan Laboratories of Illinois for patient phlebotomy and lab services for the DuPage Care Center to extend the contract through March 19, 2024, and to increase the encumbrance of the amount of $32,500 for a new contract amount not to exceed $67,500.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Oh, still me. Okay. I motion for approval I motion to combine 14C, 14D, and 14E, and 14F, all travel requests.
All in favor?
Aye. So I motion for approval of 23-2516 travel request for Housing and Community Development Planner to attend the National Association for County Community and Economic Development Annual Educational Conference and Training in Salt Lake City, Utah from September 18, 2023 through September 21st, 2023. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, miscellaneous, and per diems for approximate total of $2,334. I motion to approve 23-2517 travel request for weatherization assessor to attend the Healthy Home Evaluator mandated training in Champaign, Illinois from August 6, 2023 through August 11, 2023. Expenses to include lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for approximate total of $1,699.39. A motion for approval of 23-2518 travel request for the Senior Housing Community Development Planner to attend the Annual Housing Action Illinois Conference in Bloomington, Illinois from October 19, 2023 through October 20, 2023. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, and per diems for approximate total of $633.50. And finally, a motion for approval of 23-2519 travel request for Community Services Director to attend the National Association for County, Community, and Economic Development Annual Conference and Training in Salt Lake City, Utah from September 18, 2023 through September 21st, 2023. Expenses to include registration in the total amount of $2,279.
Okay, the state's attorney wants a roll call, so. Roll call, please.
Garcia,
Aye.
Guston, Krajewski, LaPlante, Ozog, Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori, you,
Aye.
Zay, Cahill, Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans.
Aye.
and Galasi.
Judicial and Public Safety, Member Evans, and thank you, Member Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For my committee update, at last week's JPS meeting, we had budget presentations from our coroner, Dr. Richard Jorgensen, and Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Craig Diekman. I want to thank them for their very informative presentations. Next, just a reminder, there's going to be a special call meeting on August 15th at 1 p.m. We'll have budget presentations from the 18th Judicial Court, Sheriff's Office, State's Attorney's Office, and Public Defender. So everybody, I would love to see everyone there. Also, last Friday, I was an observer at the full-scale exercise for an active shooter incident in Addison. There were over 100 participants in this exercise that simulated a school shooting at the Ardmore Elementary School. The exercise included a simulated school shooting, the school lockdown, 911 calls, police response, neutralization of the suspect, emergency medical response, transport of the surviving children to an offsite location, reunification of families, and press conferences. Role players simulated students, victims, and frantic parents. The saddest part of this exercise was watching the parents line up to be reunited with their children and seeing how many parents were left waiting and wondering after the last of the surviving children had been released. I want to give a big thank you to the Addison Police Department Deputy Chief Roy Selvig for pulling this whole thing together. It was a very heavy lift. The agencies involved included the Addison Police Department, ACDC and DuCom, Addison School District 4, Addison Fire Protection District, DuPage Regional Office of Education, the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Department of Health, the Coroner's Office, and the Messiah Baptist Church. Coordinating this effort was no small task, and bringing people together to face the unthinkable makes us better prepared for this worst case scenario. And with that, I would like to move to approve JPSP 005823, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector, Inc. for the purchase of UPSs for network closets for the sheriff's office for a contract total amount not to exceed $32,261.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Kawasi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatori. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert. Desart. And Echo.
Okay. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 005923, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to C5 Solutions, Inc. for the annual maintenance service agreement for the probation case management systems for the period of August 9th, 2023 through March 31st, 2027 for a contract total amount of $570,991. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move on JPSP 006023, recommendation for the approval of a contract issued to Stenard and Associates to provide exams for deputy sheriffs seeking promotion to the ranks of sergeant and lieutenant for the Sheriff's Merit Commission for the period August 8th, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $73,700.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move to combine items 15D, 15E, and 15F.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. I would like to move on item 232539. Authorization is requested for the Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management to travel to Springfield, Illinois from September 4th through 8th, 2023 to attend the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security 2023 Training Summit. The cost to the county will be $670.10 for lodging, meals, and miscellaneous expenses. I would also like to move on item 232540. Authorization is requested for an emergency management coordinator to travel to Springfield, Illinois from September 5th through the 8th, 2023 to attend the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security 2023 Training Summit. The cost to the DuPage County will be $282.50 for meals and miscellaneous expenses. And finally, I'd like to move on item 232541. Authorization is requested for an OHSEM volunteer to travel to Springfield, Illinois from September 5th through the 8th, 2023 to attend the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security 2023 Training Summit. The cost to DuPage County is $670.10 for lodging, meals, and miscellaneous expenses.
Okay. So we need a roll call. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Kawasi. Garcia. Justin. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. I'm sorry, Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart, and Echo.
Okay, Member Desart and Legislative. And thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick report this morning, and that is in that 2 weeks on August 22nd, we'll have a really super quick, should be just a couple of minute legislative meeting to talk about or to vote on our state lobbyists. So it's important that if you're on the committee, you're there. And then at our September meeting, September 26th, we will have an in-depth discussion about the fall veto session, again with our Springfield lobbyists. So that's important that you come as well, so we can talk about the General Assembly's fall veto session. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Desart. And may I just say, I'm happy not to be attending veto session this year. Okay, Public Works and Member Garcia.
Thank you again, Chair Conroy. By way of committee update, I did want to invite all board members to the next week's Public Works Committee. We're going to be having an energy reports presentation, which is very informative. I think everybody who's interested in how we're going forward in terms of sustainability would be a good one to attend. And also we are going to have a revised report on the sidewalk improvement plan. I know there was some issues with some people had some concerns, and so we've got some revisions coming on that. So I invite you all to come and ask your questions at that point in time. I motion to approve FMP 007623, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Fox Valley Fire and Safety Company for preventative maintenance, testing, and repair of the non-Edwards system technology, fire alarm, and life safety systems for county facilities for the period of August 28, 2023 through August 27, 2024, for a total contract amount not to exceed $73,250.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Garcia. Aye. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
And Galassi.
Okay, thank you, Member Garcia. And Stormwater, Member Zay.
Afternoon, Madam Chair. On committee update, just want to thank our staff. As we know, we went through a drought earlier in the spring. Now we're far from that, and I've been told we're on a record pace to operate in our facilities throughout the county, so it's a good thing that we have them. Also want to thank our staff for being out at the county fair last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with Scarce. We unveiled our new water table, which shows erosion and water flow. And it was a good time. The kids all loved it and were mesmerized by it. I actually stood there for a few minutes and was mesmerized by it, but it doesn't take much. You're exactly right. So, but I want to thank them for their efforts. With that, I move on to SMP 62-23, approval of a contract issued to Scarce for professional youth-based water quality education services, the amount not to exceed $77,000.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Zay.
Aye.
Cahill. Chaplin. Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatori. And you.
Okay, Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on to SMP 63-23. Approval of a contract issued to the Conservation Foundation for professional education services, period of August 8th, 2023 through August 31st, 2024, for a contract not to exceed $77,000.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and now we're going to move on to strategic planning, and Member Cahill will give the report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to remind all the county board members, Barry Dunn sent an email. They are a consultant, and they are asking you to schedule an interview to speak with them about your ideas about strategic planning. So the email came from Michelle Kennedy, and she's scheduling dates. I don't know if everyone has scheduled theirs yet, but I urge you to do that. The second thing is that you've seen it on the DuPage County Board Facebook page, but we need to get out the message to share the survey countywide with residents to, let them participate in this process of strategic planning and what is important to them going forward. So I urge all of you to forward that post on the DuPage County Board Facebook page so we can get more and more input from our residents. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Cahill. And now we're on to technology and Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So I have some good news to share. I want to give a shout out and big congratulations to Tom Ricker and our GIS team for winning 2 awards. The 2023 GMIS Government to Government Awards for 2 of our technology projects, Winter Weather Tracking Solution and the Police Transparency and Crime Stats Portal. So I just want to give them a round of applause, please. In addition, I want to announce that the county is a finalist in the 2023 Savvy Awards for our new county website. Thank you to Evan Shields and the communications team for entering a county in the 10th position. And so now I move on TEP 005823, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Gartner Inc. for 1 subscription for Gartner for IT leaders and 1 subscription for Gartner for CIOs for information technology. This contract covers the period of October 1, 2023 through September 30, 2024 for a contract total amount of $101,600.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozone. Rutledge. Shorzy and Tornico.
Okay,
And
number you.
lastly, I want to move on TEP 005923, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to AdLib Ventures Solutions for the procurement of RAM for the BSAN for information technology for a contract total amount of $49,500.
Leave is granted. Thank you, member you. Okay, transportation and member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By way of report, I can report that our construction projects are proceeding apace and smoothly and on budget. If you are inconvenienced, I apologize, but our good state of our roads is really important. And tis the season, I'm afraid. I also want to thank the Winfield Road neighbors who spoke today and have sent emails over the past 2 weeks or so. We discussed this issue yesterday at our bi-weekly meeting. We meet every other week. The transportation, myself and the transportation leadership. At this point, we are looking at engineering, hopefully finding some program money in 2024 to start engineering. As our last speaker said or noted, it is going to be somewhat complicated and it's a fairly significant, it's not just a couple of blocks of sidewalks, it's 1.25 miles on a busy road. So definitely an engineering study will have to occur first. But I definitely agree with the peril at this site and we will be moving forward to work on this in the next months. I'm not going to say a time frame, but we will be definitely working on this and certainly acknowledge their concerns. Finally, I want to move for item 21A DTP 008923. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to V3 Companies Incorporated for professional construction engineering services for improvements along County Highway 4 Bloomingdale Road over Chicago Central and Pacific Railroad for the period August 8th, 2023 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $641,743.81. Professional services vetted through qualification-based selection process in compliance with Local Government Professional Services Selection Act.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ozog.
Yes.
Rutledge.
Yes.
Shorzy, Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert, Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPointe.
Okay, member Ozog.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to move to combine items B through J.
All in favor?
Aye. I also want to note that items D through J, all of the costs will be reimbursed to DuPage County for the travel to Macomb, Illinois last month to help with cleanup as a result of recent weather-related events. I move for approval of 23-2469 Highway Maintenance Supervisor to travel to Bloomington, Illinois from October 24th, 2023 through October 25th, 2023 to attend the annual Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network Conference. Expenses include lodging for an estimated county cost of $85. I next move for approval of 23-24-70 Manager of Highway Operations to travel for Bloomington, Illinois from October 24th, 2023 through October 25th, 2023 to attend the annual Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network Conference. Expenses to include lodging, estimated county cost of $85. I move for approval of 23-24-71 Heavy Equipment Crew Leader to travel to Macomb, Illinois. Did travel July 17th, 2023, July 21st, 2023. By request from the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network to assist with cleanup as a result of the recent weather-related events. Expenses will be reimbursed to the county. Move for approval of 23-24-73 Highway Maintenance Supervisor to travel to Macomb, Illinois. For the same dates, Mutual Aid Network expenses will be reimbursed. Move for approval of 23-24-74 Equipment Operator 1 to travel to Macomb, Illinois. Same dates, expenses will be reimbursed. Move for approval of 23-24-75 Equipment Operator 2 to travel to Macomb, Illinois, July 17th, July 21st. Expenses will be reimbursed. Move for approval of 23-24-76 Equipment Operator 2 to travel to Macomb, Illinois, same dates, expenses will be reimbursed. Move for approval of 23-24-77 Equipment Operator 2 travel to Macomb, Illinois, July 17th, 23 through July 21st, 2023. And I move for approval of 23-24-78 Equipment Operator 2 to travel to Macomb, Illinois, July 17th through July 21st. And I also want to thank the crews who did go and help our neighbors in Macomb, Illinois.
Roll call, please.
Ozog,
Yes.
Rutledge, Shorzy, Tornatori. You,
Aye.
Zay, Cahill, Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart, Eckhoff, Evans,
Aye.
Galassi, Garcia, Justin, Krajewski, and LaPointe.
Okay, thank you, Member Ozog. Okay, and is there any discussion on pension obligation? Seeing none. Okay, anybody in old business? Okay, new business? Whoop, okay. Garcia, Rutledge, and then Desart.
Thank you, Chair. In the past month, I was contacted by the Senior Citizens Council to assist in finding additional space for their Meals on Wheels program. DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a 501c3 community-based volunteer-driven agency. The officially designated representative of Meals on Wheels America for both DuPage and Kane counties. The county initiates, delivers, monitors, and coordinates services that promote the ability of older people to live their lives in dignity. Since 1975, they've been providing services that help seniors live safely in their own homes and communities and provide them with resources necessary to maintain their physical and mental well-being. The council is urgently seeking a space to use a few hours each week as a meal delivery hub distribution site for their Meals on Wheels home delivered meal services. Only one council employee would be working at that site, the site manager, while 6 to 8 volunteers would then pick up the meals they need for their delivery route. The site will not be heavily used, just a few hours on weekday mornings. They do not need a full kitchen as they do not cook anything on site. They will bring in their own commercial grade food service equipment to the space, a double doored refrigerator, a warmer oven, and a small upright freezer, a small cart, and a small shelving unit. The prepackaged hot meals will be delivered to the site each weekday morning by their caterer. When the caterer reaches the site, they take the warming oven out of the van and wheel it into the site. Next, 6 to 8 volunteers come into the space, clean and sanitize the carriers, and fill them with the food items they need to the seniors on their route. The council used their own fully vetted, thoroughly background checked, trained in food safety volunteers and staff. So I've been working with county staff along with member Shorzy, and an ideal space on our campus has been identified which would meet their space needs. There is a 300 square foot vacant space attached to the former youth homes facility. The space can be isolated from the remainder of the building. I'm sharing this opportunity with the board to request your feedback and support. If you have any issues or concerns, I ask that you share them with me or bring them to the Public Works Committee, although I'm hoping to get a consensus today so that work can start because this is a dire need at this point. Similar to the CASA and Family Shelter Services leases, this board has adopted over the last 45 days. Staff will be working with the Senior Citizen Council to draft a lease for this space, which will be presented to the Public Works Committee for review and consideration. We're looking for a consensus. There needs to be some, and let me give you a few details on how many people would be helped with this before I do this. The communities being served will be Wheaton, Glen Ellen, West Chicago, Carroll Stream, Winfield, and Warrenville. The annual projection for seniors served will be between 235 to 300 people. Annual projection for meals distributed is 32,850 to 40,000 meals. Annual well-being checks, daily check of seniors assuring their health status is between $37,500 and $40,000. So there needs to be some adaptation of the space that we found at the youth center area, or the youth, the building that it was once our youth detention area. We just need to get a sink done, some electrical done, and then some flooring, and then we need to close it off so it's away from all the rest of the building. So there's no, that part of the building that's still the county's, well, it's always going to be the county's, but that is used by the county will be separate from this area. So we're looking for an ask of up to 50,000. We're hoping it won't be that in ARPA money, because this is for food insecurity. And I'm just trying to see if we can get a consensus on the board here. And if anybody has questions, please ask me and I'll get the answers for you.
Okay, do we have any questions? Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's a good initiative. My one question is, it is a parcel or building that's owned by the county. And as we talk about finding locations for affordable housing throughout the community, I'm wondering if that might also be on the radar for any future modified use, if in fact, in time, the senior council doesn't need that space anymore.
Any,
Just, we said we were gonna do a lease with them. Is it gonna be some just nominal, give them like 10
Well,
bucks?
we have some leases. The one with Casa is like $10 a year,
Right,
but I
okay.
think this one will be maybe perhaps between the $10 and $1,000 a year, because we're gonna be getting money back for electrical and water that they would be using. So that would be something that's being determined between our
That's
staff.
fine, as long as
and-
it's just a nominal amount.
Yeah. So.
okay, anybody else? Member Eka?
Whatever way this vote goes, you're gonna have to bring it back in 2 weeks to properly vote on it, right?
Yeah. Just looking for a consensus at this point in time. This is
Okay,
something-
then do we, members A? Oh, you're voting. Okay, okay. So do we have a consensus? Okay, okay. I think this is a great use of that space. So we have consensus to move forward. Okay, Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick, thank you to the people that came to talk about the Winfield Road safety issue. And thank you to the Transportation Committee for taking this up and discussing it. That's all I need.
Okay, Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is kind of like a save the date heads up. I had heard from different electeds and employees here at the campus that, you know, inmates are released at all times of the day and night. And some of people are approached by inmates, you have been, where they're asking for water, or can I use your phone to call a cab, or can I? So that was the challenge. That was the concern. So I picked up the phone. I called Sheriff Mendrick. We had a great talk to work out these issues and to talk about maybe inmates can be released with brochures of cab companies and how to find other help. Maybe $10 to get a ride home, a bottle of water, certainly when they're released. And, you know, the sheriff said, you know, one of the big needs, Dawn, that we need is that some of these inmates are released at an opposite time of year when they were incarcerated. So they're leaving with a winter coat in the summer or vice versa. So to meet that challenge, we decided to team up and collaborate. And so the sheriff and I are having he wants to have a closet from which to the released inmates can find appropriate shoes and clothing for their release. And that's about dignity, really. So the sheriff and I are hosting a drive up. Again, this is just to save the date. It's 7 weeks away. A drive up and drop off clothing drive for coats, clothes of all sizes for men and women, shoes. It's going to be held on Sunday, October 1st from 9 to 11 a.m. here in the parking lot of this 421 building. And again, I know it's 7 weeks away, so I'm asking you all to save the date or to spend the next 7 weekends cleaning out your closets to bring the clothing to our drive. And it's going to be super easy. We will have volunteers getting the clothing out of the cars. So all you need to do is drive up and we'll take care of getting the clothes out of the car. So
Thank you. It's a great way to clean your closet for a great cause. Thank
Okay,
you.
it's great.
Sunday, October 1st, 9 to 11 a.m. here in the parking lot of the 421 building.
Okay. And you'll continue to remind us, I hope. Okay. Member Chaplin.
Thank you so much. Just along those lines, Member Garcia and I have been approached on the Saturday mornings when we were handing out food. So I did speak with Bob Berlin on that. And, it is a safety concern when the defendants are released and then they don't have a phone or anything that to call anybody, or they don't have information on how to call. So I believe Bob Berlin is working with Sheriff Mendrick on getting taxis for, people so that they have a ride, because that's so important. It's for their own safety and our safety. So I think it's a great program that I think Bob Berlin's working on with Sheriff Mendrick, but it was a safety issue for both the person that's being released and for the public, because if they don't know where they are, they might be afraid and, get sent back to jail, or, if they get hit by a car or they have heat stroke out there or something like that, that's on us. So we are working on that as well. But thank you.
Okay. Member Eka.
While some of you may have still been sleeping this morning and others getting ready for this meeting, I was busy looking through the Chicago Tribune and had a article sent to Rose regarding affordable housing and the trade-off between affordable housing and the cost of government. So I hope all of you get a chance to look at it so that we further understand the trade-offs that there are in promoting it and paying for it. Thanks.
Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Member Eckhoff, I appreciate the article. There was actually an article in the county newsletter also. NACO, yes, on the map of the missing middle with respect to affordable housing, affordable subsidized housing versus affordable market housing. So there's a really good article in there. I'll make sure that gets to everybody on the dais also so they can read through it. But thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I'm informed we do not have matters before us requiring executive session. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Okay. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Time for the clock.
Member Tonatore.